What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor is up a very impressive 14.7%, 669 the low, 757 the high, and a lot of volume, especially considering the market's been only open about 45 minutes. So 35 million shares being traded, 128 is the average. No macro data today whatsoever. Rather, a lot of things that came out over the weekend that the market is rallying because. So one is just the necessary steps towards the shutdown finally ending. And once we get this shutdown concluded, then we are going to be getting a whole new rush of data later in this week, such as PPI, CPI, and so forth. I already brought up a lot of that in my weekend video, but this could really reconfirm potentially a cut for the upcoming December meeting. So that's one thing that's really rallying the market. In addition to that, though, you also had Trump Sunday saying that he's kind of considering a $2,000 per person stimulus. And we already know how much the market loves to hear that. So generally speaking, things are really moving higher because of that. I see a lot of people online saying that the reason why Opendoor is up as much as it is because of shorts and how shorts are getting squeezed. That's not necessarily accurate, only because at the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 1.69 million shares. 22.7% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 161.5 million shares overall being shorted. So shorts are actually doing the opposite. They are increasing in a attempt to kind of slow Opendoor down. It's not really working too well for them, of course, but they aren't getting squeezed. If Opendoor is able to hold a lot of these gains as well as the broader market, then yeah, you never know. You could see a little bit of a squeeze later today. But as far as the main reason why Opendoor is moving higher right now isn't because of shorts being squeezed. Rather, you are actually seeing some new ratings coming out and being posted. And this is something as well I did bring up over my weekend video, is that most likely over the weekend, analysts were going to be posting some ratings. And this is exactly what Wall Street likes to see. So we did get one bearish one. It was a $2 sell, KBW, Ryan, who has a 31% success rating. Then you did have two bullish ones, $8 a piece. And so now that is officially the highest rating for Opendoor currently. So $8 buy by JP Morgan, Day, who has a 55% success rating, and then Mizuho, Lloyd, who has a 64% success rating. As a consensus, 494 over the last 3 months, and that does represent a 31.9% downside. So kind of crazy stuff. And in my opinion, I think given the circumstances of Opendoor's earnings, you could see a lot more ratings. So there's a lot of analysts that gave ratings like about 8 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago. So I think maybe they might feel the need to reiterate their rating and maybe up it. So yeah, if we get more high single digit or potentially even double digit ratings, then this is going to really incentivize more institutions to kind of get in. At the time of doing this video, there hasn't been any SEC filings or press releases from Opendoor. Kaz, Eric, members of Opendoor have been fairly quiet. So nothing really crazy or speculative being posted online worthwhile to bring up. So I think it's just largely analyst ratings and just the optimism in the broader market. That's what's really fueling Opendoor. But as I mentioned, I think shorts are really trying to throw a lot at it, and that potentially could prompt a squeeze, right? So 22.7% of the free floats being shorted. So kind of crazy stuff if you think about it. Aside from that, looking at the options, 10 million in calls, 1.2 in puts, and then 48% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly between that $9 to $10 range. Then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub kind of 7 to 650. So there's definitely a lot more upside than down anticipated. These are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. Big one, 3.9. But you can kind of see that some institutions are selling a little bit today from at least the secondary market, and most likely one of the biggest attributing factors why Opendoor is moving higher is algorithmic trading, and that's probably because of the analyst ratings as well as optimism in the market. But These are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool above $100,000. So it goes to show that obviously hedge funds are buying into Opendoor, but since shorts are really throwing everything they can at it right now, it is fair to assume that most of these transactions are linked to them. So something just to keep in mind. Right now with it at 747, it is right below this R1. So 748 is going to be that key pivot. Ideally, in best case scenario, it does close above that. Then that way you can kind of see a nice continued trend, but 807 and then 652 is going to be strong support and resistance points. So today, moral of the story, just watch for it to, like I said, close above that 748. Aside from that though, Opendoor is showing a lot of good strength that it wants to really move higher, currently above that 10-day moving average. And a big deal for a lot of growth stocks, and especially Opendoor, is that blue line right here, that 50-day moving average. Most likely there won't be enough on the table to actually hit that today, but potentially that'll be the target for tomorrow. So just kind of watch for that. But all in all, I think Opendoor is doing fairly well, gaining some pretty good momentum. Not really much in articles really talking about Opendoor. A couple ones just bringing up some of the recent analyst ratings, but nothing really of significance. And you can kind of see from here the flow, the smaller transactions, that shows that algos are pretty much doing majority of the volume. Looking today, there really hasn't been that much in willing kind of changes to the willing sellers from the market position. A little bit more willing buyers, but it looks like those individuals willing to sell, they're kind of hell-bent on sticking to where they are. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor in the comments below. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with Opendoor? And do you believe that we're going to be getting, let's say, double-digit ratings, or do you think that $8 is kind of the cap? What's your kind of viewpoint on all of that? Hopefully everyone had an amazing weekend thus far. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.